let's say Israel did a siege, as you said at the start, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it was. What would be the a few questions? Number one, what would be the civilian, expected death count when you do that? And secondly, okay, so now Hamas come out of their tunnels. How would that make it a lot easier for Israel to fight this war quickly? What would happen then?
Well, the bad guy. So I'll answer your second question first, which is the bad guys attack from underground. They live in. They've created a whole world under there. By the way, parenthetically, how do you allow as Israel? How do you allow right underneath your nose the building up of a mega war infrastructure underneath your nose? You should not allow that. And the prime minister and the rest should pay a political price for allowing, and the military establishment for allowing such a thing to happen underneath our nose. And had this critiqued forever and ever, Ollie, forever and ever.
Yeah.
I always speak to these people that are in intelligence and stuff, and I say to them, I remember one time there was a Jeep that drove by me, and I we talked. So they had a very fancy screen. I said to them inside the Jeep, I said to them, "What's this fancy screen about?" So they explained to me, "Well, we know this, know that." I'm like, what is wrong with you? Don't you know where the bad guys are? Let me point to you. I know that village right there. That village right there is where the jihadis live. I know. I know what they say. I know their mosque. I know their schools. I know it's right there. What do you need this fancy screen for? And that's a conception problem within the military establishment. How do you fight them better when they come out? Because they come out and face you, and you fight them in open warfare. Open warfare, we have the advantage. That is why they're in tunnels, because they know that they have the advantage when it's hard to get at them at these tricky tunnel vortex that they created over there, this matrix, whatever. So that's one. Get them out and you fight them directly. That's issue number one. What was the first question you asked? Oh, civilian
About
casualties.
civilian casualties when
Civilian
you
casualties
siege.
would have been less. No question about it. It would have been
People
it
can
would have been less than
they'd be
now.
able to survive. They'd be able to survive
Uh,
without water, without electricity for a few weeks.
First thing is, okay, a few things. First thing is, I want to say this clearly. The very issue of civilian casualties is a Hamas agenda. It is in their interest for there to be civilian casualties and to talk about civilian casualties. That's what they
Yeah.
want. They want to attack our civilians, make a horrific war, then stand back, get in their tunnels. We bomb them. We bomb civilians, and they get their Al Jazeeras and stuff to make endless write ups about how Israel is striking the civilian population. I saw that there was this that Pierce Morgan was giving a hard time to a spokesman about that. And if I would have been there, I would have just said to Pierce, like, Pierce, this is the Hamas agenda. You're just pushing the Hamas agenda. The Hamas
Yeah.
agenda is to talk ad nauseum about civilian casualties. We know that Gazans are in large measure in favor of this war, the civilians. And we know that their government, as you said very correctly, their elected government made this war against us. And that's what happens. It's a war. They
Yeah.
started a war against us in a horrific fashion. Now this is the cost of it. That's number one. Number two is there's another silent partner to this junk. There's the most despicable silent partner here, and that is Egypt. These guys have a border with Gaza. They've allowed tunnels to bring in all the armament and all the stuff into Gaza to Hamas. They've allowed them. I don't know if they did it actively or passively. My bet would be actively, or at least turn the other, to turn away and not look, turn a blind eye to. But the bottom line is these guys are players. Egypt is a player here. They've helped supply Hamas. They could be taking refugees, because what's the simple answer here, Ali? What's the simple answer? You see, this is what's so frustrating. There's such common sense here that is being missed. What's the simple answer to the civilian casualties? Get them out of the way. Get them out of the way. What is this pier that the Americans good for? What is it good for? Put them on a boat and put them to safety. Open up the border with Sinai and make a tent city there. Do you know how many displaced people there are in the Syrian war? Over 5 million. 5 million. No, there's 13.5 million displaced. 5 million people living not even near where they were beforehand. Open up the border with Egypt. Put a UN tent city in Sinai. And then we can have our nice war and finish this business off and finish off anybody who had any part in October 7th or has allegiance to Hamas. Do you understand the lie here is overwhelming? The Americans, the Egyptians, they're all talking about civilian casualties. They are allowing it.
Yeah.
The simple way to get them to finish this business off is to allow them to
Yeah.
to have an exit and to defeat the
And
terrorists. But no,
and